What's up, fishing family? Captain Pat here. I hope everybody had an amazing New Year and is having a good winter fishing season. So, time for the next part in our How to Catch Freshwater Striper series. And it's time to cover basically one of the very top questions that I get. And that is, what setup do we use? So on Beaver Lake here in northwest Arkansas, we primarily troll live bait. But myself and some other people, we do a lot of other things. We use plastics, lures, umbrella rigs, both mini umbrellas and big, huge, large umbrellas. Captain Max makes absolutely the best product in that category. We do a little bit of dead sticking. It's pretty hard in our lake since the numbers aren't huge, but Texoma and some of the other freshwater striper lakes, trolling isn't ideal, but it can be done anyway. So I get asked all the time what our pole setup is, and so that's what we're talking about this video. The next video is going to be total setup. I want to caution you, this is a general knowledge, general information video, because we're going to talk about weights, what weights I put on here. Everyone always asks what weights I use, and that changes a lot, and I'll explain that as well in this video. So we're just going to start out. This is actually a Meat Hunter Flex pole, and I absolutely love these rods, and this is kind of a prototype for us, and they did a phenomenal job with this pole for us. In fact, we ordered 10 of them our first run and have had no issues. Love them. I chose to go with paracord on these because as a guide, they're going in and out of the rod holders non-stop, and I'll tell you what, I've had these over a year now, and I just expected I'd be sending them back to get rewrapped, and I have not even not one issue. So the foam's great, especially for personal use, but I wanted something easily replaceable and super durable for how rough we are on these poles. So this pole here is 7 foot 6 inches, and that's a custom measurement for us, and I'm sure Meat Hunter would be happy to cut one to your spec as well. And we have a few little custom changes on this one, but this is a medium heavy pole. It's kind of interesting with these. They're actually kind of medium, except for the last, I think it's 18 inches of the pole is a lot more medium, and so but it's got a lot of flex, so you can really hold those circle hooks and you're gonna spit less hooks in my experience. So moving on to that, I also want to tell you, my big thing is everybody being able to fish. So for $20 you can go to Walmart and get a Berkley Big Game series. These are 8 foot, use up to 30-pound line. These are medium heavy, and they're not amazing, but I troll 8 or 9 poles when I'm trolling live bait, and if you want to just get into doing that, that's an investment especially when you're throwing reels. So here, $20 each. You can find them used too. I guided with those for a year, I think, and then I use on all mine. Actually, one broke. I've been using these Okuma cold waters. I'm not a huge fan of them. That's another video. So the one that broke, I threw one of my old Depth Masters on here. You can get one of these. This is a Cabela's or Bass Pro Depth Master. They're usually like $60, $65 in stock pretty much all the time for the plastic version. What's important about them is they have a depth counter on them. I think that's almost crucial for the way we fish. And I don't know, they're just decent reels, and if you lose one or break one, it doesn't break your heart. So what we do is we run 30-pound mono pretty much year round, and then we run that to our weight with, I like to run a minimum of 2 beads, to a swivel. This is actually a bigger swivel than I typically use. And then we run that to, I run at least an 8-foot fluorocarbon leader. And then we run that to a circle hook, and I really prefer to use an offset circle hook. So Gamakatsu has probably the best ones, I would say. Owner brand right next to that. So all right, so weights. When we talk about the weights, the reason I say that varies is because there's just so many variables. I troll 8 or 9, 7, 8, 9 poles at a time, and there's so many different reasons that I would use different weights, and I really think that we could probably break that down in another video, and I will. Let me know in the comments if you want me to just cover weights, just weights. I think we should, but in a nutshell, the reason it varies is I will cover the weights I use in just a typical setup. When I do the total setup, which I'll do that next time I'm on the lake here this week. And so, for example, I'll use different weights so that the lines don't get intertwined with each other. So for both sides, I have up to 3 ounces. So I mean, you'll see on this pole here, I have 3 ounces of weight, and that's so it just goes straight down. And the one next to that's a planer board, so it goes way out. The one next to that's a long line, goes way out. Long story short, different weights, keep them away from each other. That's reason number one, you use different size weights. Number two, though, is you can fine tune your depths easier. So sometimes of the year, I'm going to be trolling faster or slower. So if I'm trolling faster, I need to probably use a little bit heavier weights. If I'm slow and troller, vice versa. The other thing too is sometimes the striper are super finicky, especially when the water's really, really clear. So a way to get around that is to run your lines really far away from your boat so they don't hear your boat, see your boat. You just eliminate that variable out of the equation. So sometimes where I would run maybe, let's just say for example, at that time of year I'm running 1/4 ounce weight, I might drop it down to an 1/8 or a 1/16, and then run that line out rather than, you know, let's say I had been running it out at 75 feet, I would run it out at 200 feet and try to get that same depth by sending out more, with less weight, by sending out more line, if that makes sense. So the only way to really learn that, and I can do a video, but on top of that would be just getting out and getting your lines in the water. So the most common weight I use on like my long lines, for example, is a 1/4 ounce weight. I'll go down to an 1/8 ounce weight in the spring when they're hitting top water, if I'm marking them really high, or not marking them at all, but I know they're there. And when I say not marking them at all, because they're hanging out so shallow your transducer isn't picking them up, or your side scan. So in those scenarios, you want to run your bait really high up on the water column. So the way to achieve that is very little weight. So I would, even on some lines, run no weight, especially in that scenario behind the planer boards, no weight. And then these down lines where I have 3 ounces, they don't go down far. I just literally pinpoint them where I want that bait. So since these go straight down, if the fish are sitting at 10 to 15 feet, I'm going to drop this down to probably 8 feet because I want to go right above that ball of bait is where I have good success. So your weights are going to change depending on that. And I will go over a basic typical setup, but there are variables, and if you guys want, I'll go over it, or I'll do a whole nother video just on weights in itself. I think it would be valuable. I don't think there's anything else out there like that. I will tell you there's weight trolling calculators online. I haven't really looked, but I hear it all the time. You can actually, I imagine, just pull up what weight you're using, what speed you're trolling, and what line you are using, and it'll tell you what depth it'll sit at. I think somebody threw something in the files section too of this group, or of the Facebook Beaver Lake Fishing Report Facebook group. And then just to kind of give you a quick idea of line, I just use something like this, trilene, monofilament. 30-pound year-round works just great for me. I'll do line when I do a gear video, but real quick, like I really like this brand and this style of fluorocarbon. This is what I use for my leaders. I run like an 8 to 10 foot leader, and this is 20-pound. I'll use 20-pound in the middle of the summer, and when the water's crystal clear, we're fishing right by the dam. Just try to eliminate one more variable, and then that's where experience and using your drag really comes in. But however, you get some heartbreaks, I'll promise you that. So I have guide friends that run 30-pound fluoro all year round leaders, and they catch fish just as fine. But you, again, with striper, you got to get out there, get your lines wet, learn how to do it. This time of the year, the water is not crazy clean. We're fishing the south end of the lake. I'm running 25-pound line right now in all mine, and 20-pound fluoro leaders, and then 30-pound mono. Super happy with it. Works great for me. But yeah, so that's kind of our rod setups in a nutshell, and we'll go ahead and cover our setup, how I troll multiple poles, different ways that we fish. I'll just do a full setup video. Running out of light today, so I'm not going to do it. Also, I thought it'd be cool to be able to do it when I have a bunch of rods in the holder. I've been trying to get on just an amateur's boat so I can just do an everyday setup, just like most of you guys have. So anyway, I believe that should cover anything. Continue to let me know in the comments what you want to see, what you want me to cover. This is any freshwater lake that holds striper, and quite frankly, you could fish any predatory species that chases bait fish this way. And with this setup, it works really well for us, as you can see in our videos and our social media. So anyway, I hope this really helps you get out there and catch more fish. This is Captain Pat. Just keep casting.